Hello everyone. Welcome to the solution of LeetCode problem 20 named valid parenthesis. In this problem, we are given a string S consisting of just the characters opening first bracket, opening second bracket, opening third bracket, and closing first bracket, closing second bracket, and closing third bracket. And we have to determine if the input string is valid. Now, if an input string is considered valid, if and only if open bracket must be closed by the same types of close bracket, and open brackets must be closed in the corrected order, and every closed bracket has a corresponding open bracket of the same type. Suppose in the first example, the given input consisting of two characters, which is opening first bracket and closing first bracket. So it is a valid parenthesis. So in this case, we have to return true. In the second input, the input consists of 6 characters, which is opening first bracket, closing first bracket, opening second bracket, closing second bracket, opening third bracket, and closing third bracket. Here, it is also a valid parenthesis because all of these 3 conditions is valid in this string. Anyways, for the third example, the string consists of 2 characters, which is opening first bracket and closing third bracket. So in this case, it is not a valid parenthesis. So in this case, we have to return false. Anyways, I hope you understood the example. Now let's move on to the constraint. Here, the length of the string can be in between 1 to 10 to the power 4, and each of the characters of this string consist of these 6 characters, which is opening first bracket, second bracket, and third bracket, and closing first bracket, second bracket, and third bracket. I hope you understood the problem. Now let's move on to the algorithm. To solve this problem, we have taken the second example. The second example consists of 6 characters, which is opening first bracket, closing first bracket, opening third bracket, closing third bracket, opening second bracket, and closing second bracket. Now, the basic intuition is, if in any interview or any other technical round, if we are given any valid parenthesis related problem, maybe most of the time, or even 99% cases, those kind of problem can be solved using the stack data structure. So according to the convention, we will also use here the stack data structure. Now the algorithm is pretty simple. At first, we have to iterate the whole string. Suppose currently we are in the first character. So the algorithm is, if we find any of the opening parentheses, then we have to push it into the stack. So suppose if we find the first opening parenthesis or the first bracket, so we have to put it into the stack. So the first bracket will be inserted here. Now, in the second character of the iteration, we have found the closing bracket or the closing first bracket. So now we have to check whether our top element of our stack is the opening first bracket or not. As we see that our top element of the stack is the opening first bracket, and our current element of our stack is the closing first bracket. So it will form a valid parenthesis because this opening first bracket and this closing first bracket can be a valid parenthesis. So in this case, we have to simply pop the top element of the stack. So our stack will become empty. Now we are in the third character, which is opening third bracket. So as we find any opening characters or the opening brackets, we have to insert it into the stack. So here we also insert this opening third bracket into the stack, which is inserted here. Now, we will move to the next character, which is closing third bracket. So again, the algorithm is, if we find any closing bracket, we have to check whether the top element of the stack is the opening bracket of this type. Here, the closing bracket is the third bracket and it is the opening third bracket. So opening third bracket and closing third bracket is a valid parenthesis. So in this case, again, we have to remove the top element from the stack. So the opening third bracket is removed here. Now we are at the fifth character, which is opening second bracket. So as it is opening bracket, we have to insert it into the stack. And after that, the final character is closing third bracket. So here, as this is a closing second bracket, so here we have to check whether our top element of the stack is the opening second bracket or not. As we have seen that the top element of the stack is the opening second bracket. So opening second bracket and closing second bracket will make a valid parenthesis. So in this case, we have to remove the top element of the stack. Now finally, we have completed our iteration. And if after the iteration, our stack will become empty, in this case, we have seen that, or we can make a conclusion that our given string will become a valid parenthesis. Otherwise, we can say that it is not possible for our input string to become a valid parenthesis if after the iteration, the stack will not remain empty. I hope you understood the problem. Now let's move on to the code. The code is pretty simple. At first, we are given a function is valid. The parameter of this function is a string, and the return type of this function is a Boolean. If our given string is valid or it performs a valid parenthesis, then we have to return true. Otherwise, we have to return false. Now, inside this function, we have to take a stack. The input type of this stack is character. Now, we have to iterate through all of the element of this current string. So we are using a for loop. And in each iteration, we have to store our current character into a variable named ch. And we have to check if our current variable is any of the first bracket, then we have to simply insert it into the stack. Otherwise, this block will execute it. Anyways, this block will execute if our current element is not any of the first bracket. So suppose we found any second bracket, but our current stack is empty. That means before finding this second bracket, we did not find any of the first bracket. So in this case, we have to return false. Otherwise, if our current stack is not empty, now we have to store the top element of the stack into a variable named top. Now we have to check if our currently top element of the stack is opening first bracket and current element is closing first bracket, or if our top element of the stack is opening second bracket and our current element is closing second bracket, or if our top element of the stack is opening third bracket and our current element is closing third bracket. If any of these conditions is true, we have to simply remove the top element of the stack by using the pop function. Otherwise, we have to simply return false, because in this case, it is not possible for the string to become a valid parenthesis. Now, finally, we have to check whether if our current stack is empty or not. If our current stack is empty, then we have to simply return true. Otherwise, we have to return false. I hope you understood the algorithm. Now let's move on to the time and space complexity analysis of this program. The time complexity of this program is big O of n because we have to iterate the entire string once. and put each of the character into the stack. So in the worst case, the time complexity is big O of n. And the space complexity of this algorithm is big O of n also, because in the worst case, we have to insert all of the element into the stack. So the size of the stack can become the size of the string. So here the space complexity is big O of n. I hope you understood the algorithm and time and space complexity. Thank you everyone for watching this video. We will get back soon with another LeetCode solution.